sunflowers. So I've been really busy. I've been real tired and drained. I have a lot of girly stuff going on, so I did not feel well, but we are going to get back into this book. Lost and Found, Chapter 6. It's going to be a lot of traffic noises because I'm doing this during the day on Mother's Day, and it will be posted the same day, which is today. So I hope you guys can enjoy this. I will try to read it in whisper, but I feel like y'all may not hear it good enough because of all the background noise. And I'm sorry, my dad's watching a movie really loud and the cars. So I hope you can enjoy it. Chapter 6. Oh, Jamie, it is, Darcy said. Oh, Jamie groaned, her hands clasped to her cheeks. Well, I'll go down there and tell him you don't want to be bothered, the officer said. Darcy and Jamie watched as the officer returned to the Toyota and talked to their father for a few minutes. Darcy saw the officer take a slip of paper from her father's hands. He's coming back up here, Jamie said nervously. The cop is coming back. At the apartment door, the officer gave Darcy the paper. It had a phone number written on it. Darcy always thought her father had beautiful handwriting. He had gone to a small grammar school down south where there was strict about penmanship. The phone number was written in his familiar fancy script. It brought a fresh pain into Darcy's heart. He said he won't bother you anymore, the officer told them, but if you ever want to contact him, this is the number to use. Miss, he said, he'd stay away from here and from your school. I don't think you need to worry about him annoying you again. Darcy nodded and mumbled a thank you, clutching the note in her fingers. The girls watched as the Toyota left and then the police car. They could not tell if their father glanced up one more time at the apartment window. Jamie walked over to the kitchen table, sat down. She looked stunned. Why would he come back here after all this time? I don't know, Darcy said. Memories flooded back like scenes from an old movie. Darcy remembered the days before her mother was forced to work long hours to keep a roof over their heads, before they moved into a small apartment to save money, before Grandma's crippling stroke. She recalled the barbecues in the backyard when the family lived in National City, and the trips to Taiwan when Daddy would buy the girls giant paper flowers and they would eat rolled tacos from street vendors. Most of all, she remembered the hiking trips into the mountains. They would find tadpoles in the spring streams, and Daddy would explain how they turned into frogs, and he would put the girls on his shoulder and march along with everybody chanting, ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. And then there were the visits to the giant cedar tree where he dubbed Jamie as Princess, and just so Darcy would not feel neglected, Daddy would put his hand on her shoulder and declare, "You're a princess too." Unable to shake the image from her mind, Darcy looked at Jamie and asked, "Do you remember the hiking trips we used to take?" "Yeah," Jamie said. "I think being there in the mountains was the last time I was really happy." She shook herself as if to chase away the memories. Why'd he have to come back like that, like a stranger in the night? Darcy shrugged. The heavy man and the Toyota seemed to have nothing. With those good memories, he seemed no part of them. In a way, he just made things worse. What's Mom gonna say? Jamie said. I don't know, Darcy replied, but we'll have to tell her. Maybe she'll want him back, Jamie said. She never dated anybody. Plenty guys have liked her. You remember Chuck, the nurse from Jamaica? He really liked Mom. He sent her flowers and everything, but she never did go out with him. Maybe she still loves Dad. I don't think so, Darcy said. I don't even want to see him in my entire life, Jamie asserted with sudden, unexpected passion. I hate him. I wish he was dead. I wish he had gotten his death notice. Darcy made hot cocoa and waited for Jamie from Mom to come home. Going to the bed, trying to sleep after what happened was out of the question. We're telling her tonight, huh? Jamie asked. Yeah, I can't sleep on it tonight, Darcy said. Mom's gonna be shocked, Jamie asked. Right after midnight, Mom came home. She spotted Jamie's face as soon as she walked through the door. Baby, what happened to you? She cried, throwing down her purse and rushing to Jamie. Nothing, Mom. I fell at cheerleader practice, Jamie lied. But something else happened. Mom gasped, thinking something had happened to Grandma. No, Darcy said quickly. Grandma's okay. She's sleeping. It's that Dad is back in town. Mom grabbed a chair and sat down quickly. Your father came here? He was sitting in his car across the street. I got scared. He's been following me for days. I didn't recognize him, so I called the police and they told me it was him, Darcy explained. Merciful Lord. After all these years, Mom cried, clasping her arms tightly and rocking back and forth as if in grief. I told the police to tell him to go away and leave us alone, Darcy said. But he left this. It's his phone number. Darcy showed her mother the scrap of paper, then put it on the kitchen counter. You want to see him, Mom? Jamie asked. Oh, my head is spinning from all this, honey. I'm so tired. I just want to shower and go to bed. I need to let this sink in. I just can't believe it. Tomorrow's a school day, so you girls go to bed too. Looking dazed, Mom got up, walked toward the bathroom. Later on, when Mom was in her bathroom, Darcy heard her weeping. She knew Mom was trying to muffle the sounds by burying her face in the pillow. But just as they did years earlier when Dad abandoned the family, the wrecking sobs bubbled through the darkness. At breakfast the next morning, Mom kept repeating to the girls that she could not believe her father came back without even calling or sending a letter. He's a lowlife, said Jamie. Mom, he doesn't even like himself anymore, Darcy said. He's so overweight and so old, like he hasn't taken care of himself in a long time. Mom drank her coffee, her eyes welling with sorrow. Darcy kept thinking about the past as she walked to school. When she had been very small, her father had made shadow puppets on the walls with his hands. He would make a snapping alligator with one hand and hopping pig with the other. Every night the two creatures would race across the wall of the girls' bedrooms while their father recited a silly rhyme. Diggity dog, gonna eat that hog. It says the old gator who looked like a log. Diggity dee, he can't catch me, says the roly-poly little piggy who hopped up the tree. Darcy and Jamie would chuckle with glee as the shadow pig always leaped away from the snapping jaws of the alligator. Lost in memories, Darcy did not see Cooper and his friends in front of the school. Nosy as usual, they were sitting on top of Cooper's pickup truck and peering from the shelves. There was also a lot of other noise around the front of the school, including loud rap music from a red Nissan parked at the curb. As Darcy got closer to the Nissan, she could feel the rap's deep bass pushing in the air, shaking the windows of nearby cars. Thank hard, think fast, today might be your last. Chanted the rapper as Darcy passed the red car. Man, you better try, maybe you're gonna lie, maybe you're gonna die, ain't it a shame? You got one, you got no one to blame when you're 6 foot underground and looking up instead of down. Just as Darcy got ready to cross the street, she heard the sound of an engine revving up loudly behind her. She turned and instantly the red Nissan sprang to life and blocked her path. Bobby Wallace leaned out the window. "Want to talk to you, girl," he barked. "I'm late for school," Darcy snapped. "Get out of my way." "Better watch your mouth," Bobby snarled. "You had a lot of trouble for messing me and Jamie up. We had a good thing, and you went spreading lies. I want you to fix it, you hear what I'm saying?" "Are you crazy?" Darcy cried. "You think I want my sister hanging around with you? She was stealing for you, and when she broke up with you, you smacked her around. I wish you were in jail. You touch her again, I'll make sure that's where you end up." Bobby's friend, who had been driving the Nissan, jumped from the car and came around, moving mentally towards Darcy. "You think little old Jamie's face looked bad?" Bobby sneered. "You won't look in the mirror tomorrow when I get through with you." Darcy tried to run around the Nissan, but Bobby, out of the car now, grabbed her wrist. Her friends took out a knife and flashed it at her. "You and me gonna get in the car and go for a drive and talk," Bobby said, turning up the car stereo to drown out the sound of Darcy's screams. "Maybe you're gonna die," the rapper repeated. Darcy yanked her wrist, trying to pull free. Up ahead, she saw students streaming into Buford High, laughing and chattering. Nobody seemed to see the drama blocked by the red Nissan. "Get your hands off of me," Darcy screamed as loud as she could, swinging her free arm and kicking Bobby's shins. "Let me go." Darcy saw Bobby's hands coming at her face like a heavy club. It was all a blur after that. Cooper must have heard her scream, even over the rap music, because he and three of the buddies were all over Bobby and his friends. The hand aimed at Darcy's face never connected. Cooper and his crew pounced on Bobby and his friends, throwing them to the ground as the rap music howled. "Ain't it a shame? You got no one to blame when you're 6 feet underground and looking up instead of down." Beaten and bloody, Bobby and his friends crawled into the Nissan and took off. By the time Tara and some other kids were there cheering, "Way to go, Coop," Tara yelled above them all, helping Darcy up. "Little punks got what they deserve." "Thanks," Darcy said to Coop and the other boys. "It's fun knocking bullies upside their heads," Cooper laughed. "I was so surprised Cooper would help me like that," Darcy mentioned to Tara later on. "Shows how much you know, girl," Tara scoffed. "Coop might get lousy grades, and he might act a little silly sometimes, but he has a good heart. He won't let no sister get messed up by some thugs. Coop is one of the good guys. He wants to be a fireman when he finishes school. They're always saving folks. That's Coop." A number of kids had seen what happened in front of the school, and by afternoon, Bobby and his friends were disciplined. The principal, Miss Spencer, told Darcy that Bobby had been suspended for 3 days. She also explained that Bobby admitted to leaving a note on Darcy's desk and making a prank call to her house. If he caused any more trouble, Miss Spencer said he would be expelled. Darcy breathed a sigh of relief when she learned what happened to Bobby. Walking home later that day, she thought about her run-in with Bobby and his friends. She could not remember ever being so afraid in her life. She had to catch her breath every time she thought about it. That encounter with him could have turned out if not for Cooper. Near home, Darcy looked for the silver Toyota. She half expected to see it. She did not know exactly what she felt when it wasn't there. Ooh, child, that chapter. Getting a little crazy. Let's go on to chapter 7. At school the next day, Darcy thanked Cooper again for rescuing her from Bobby and his buddy. Cooper turned his gratitude aside with a joke. Wasn't me done it, girl. It was that kick of yours, man. You chased them away all by yourself. Oh, Coop, Tara scolded. Stop dissing your own self. You're a hero, you know it. Hero, Coop repeated, his eyes huge. Sure, like John Wayne, Tara said. My daddy likes those old John Wayne movies on TV. That's who you like, Coop. John Wayne, only darker. Cooper began to swagger around and imitate John Wayne's famous walk. Gather around, pilgrims, Cooper said in his best John Wayne voice. Here I am, big black John Wayne, come to town to all the wrongs with the dudes been pulling up. Only I ain't got a horse. His talking is horrible. Just then, Brisanna came walking along. She glanced briefly at Cooper, and Tara ignored them. Looking directly at Darcy, she asked, Want to eat lunch with me at the usual place? It's a nice place for lunch, Darcy said to Tara and Cooper. You guys want to join us? Brisanna began gesturing wildly behind Cooper and Tara's back, trying to make Darcy understand she was not the least interested in all four of them eating lunch together. Tara and Cooper could not help noticing Brisanna's message. Go on, Darcy, Tara said. Go and have lunch. See you later. We like it right here. Tara looked hurt. Darcy admitted how cool she was about it. Oh, go ahead, Darcy answered. I think I'll stay here today and eat with these guys. Tara looked at Darcy and declared, You don't have to do that. I want to, Darcy said. Catch up with you later, Brisanna. Brisanna hurried off as if she could not move fast enough. As soon as Brisanna left, Cooper said, Oh, I get it. You feel sorry for us. I mean, it looks like when the social worker comes to check on the neighbor lady who's on disability, she acts like she just loves to sit down and talk, but deep down she's looking down on that lady, scowling. Coop added, Listen, sister, you don't have to be tight with us. What if I want to, Darcy said, surprised by her own cool. What if I really want to? Well then, Tara said, that's different. A big grin spread over her face. As Darcy ate lunch with Tara and Coop, other regulars joined them. Kids Darcy had little to do with in the past. They had often passed Darcy in the halls at the library, even sat beside her in some classes, but they remained strangers. There was Keisha, whose parents owned and operated a tiny neighborhood grocery store. And there was Hakeem Randall with a guitar slung over his shoulder. Once when he sat off by himself, strumming and singing, Darcy almost walked over to tell him how good he sounded, but she didn't. Now he sat beside her, talking with Cooper about football, and there was also Sharif, a Sunday boy who had just arrived at school, and Sonia, who quietly told Darcy that she had never liked Bobby Wallace. When Hakeem finished his sandwich, he picked up his guitar and started playing. It seemed when he sang and played, his shyness disappeared, but he never met Darcy's admiring gaze. He sang lyrics he made of himself. It was starting to sound like a bad dream, the ones that have tangled my mind. I'm starting to be fearful of darkness. It seems like you come back all the time. Darcy thought Hakeem was too fine for words. When he finished his poem, at last he looked right at her, but then Darcy looked away. She was shy, he was. Yet listening to Hakeem's song, Darcy almost felt she could tell him anything, even things about her family. And all the time she was at Blueford High, Darcy had never talked to anyone, not even Brisanna, about her father and the hurt he had caused. Brisanna's father was a bank official. Once he was out of work for several months, and Brisanna was so embarrassed she did not tell Darcy. Darcy found out from someone else. Brisanna's mother was a clothes buyer for a pricey department store. Soon, Brisanna's family would have enough money to leave the neighborhood. Brisanna could go to a better school, one where they just about was a 10. Well, everybody was a 10. Darcy had been ashamed to talk about her vanished father. Nothing truly awful ever happened to Brisanna's life. It happened only among the low-life people. In their world, fathers ran away. People drank too much. There were poverty. Darcy had hidden her pain from Brisanna, so Brisanna would not think she was a lowlife too. But Darcy needed to really talk with a friend about how bad she felt. After school, my voice going in now. After school, Darcy found Tara shooting baskets in the court behind the gym. Mom did not have to go to work as early today, so Darcy did not need to rush home. Hi, Tara. You like basketball? Darcy asked, sitting down on a bench. Yeah, who knows? Maybe it'll be my ticket to college one of these days. Sure beats flipping burgers. Darcy looked at her with surprise. I know what you're thinking, Tara said, as she expertly dribbled the ball. I'm too fat. But the way I see it, that can change. Coach Williams says I have potential, she stated with obvious pride. Girl, you go for it, Darcy said. My grandma always says, jump at the sun, and you might just catch a star. The two girls smiled at each other and sat on a nearby bench. It was October, but it was hot that afternoon. Soon the temperatures would cool, perhaps suddenly, but right now it was even warm in the shade. You know what, Tara? Darcy said, the words rushing out like water, suddenly released from a dam. My dad just came back into our lives after being gone for 5 years. It's just so weird. I don't even know what I feel. That's wild, Tara said, with concern. You mean he just popped in out of nowhere? He started lurking around, and I didn't even know it was him. I called the police, and they told me it was him. He left my mom 5 years ago for somebody else, and it tore us all up, especially my sister. She was only 9, and she worshipped Dad. She's sort of been lost ever since, and now he's back, almost like a ghost of somebody you thought was dead. Darcy said, so what's your mom say? She gonna let him come back or what? Tara asked. I don't know what she's feeling. I told the police to tell him to stay away from us, and Mom seemed okay with that. He left a phone number in case we wanted to call him, but what would we say? I sure don't know what I'd say. Darcy shook her head. I mean, when I first left, I cried about it. When he first left, I cried about it. And then I was mad, and I hated him, and then I didn't feel anything. Maybe just an empty feeling, like there was some big hole inside me somewhere, and it wouldn't close up. Darcy could not believe how much of herself she was revealing to a girl she hardly knew. It was one thing gossiping about the girl's father being a drunk or somebody's sister getting pregnant, but now Darcy was admitting that there was a large dark secret in her own family. That Dad had ripped a hole so big and deep that maybe her own little sister was being pulled into its terrible darkness. So what are you gonna do, Doris? Nothing, I guess. I just wish it could be all the way it was before. My sister Jamie said she wishes Dad was dead. I guess it would make it easier. I mean, I might be able to forgive him if he was dead, Darcy said, twisting the hem of her shirt. You want to talk to him, Tara asked. I'd like to ask him why he did such a thing to us. I'd like to hear it from his own mouth. I guess I know what happened, but I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear him try to explain. Maybe I want to see him squirm and be ashamed and feel as rotten as I do. But still, it'd be so horrible to actually hear it, to know this guy I hate is someone I used to love so much. You ought to see him, Tara said firmly. Get it all out. Sometimes good people do rotten things. Then they realize the mistakes they made and turn their lives around. Sometimes bad people do good things too. We had a neighbor who was real bad, a drug dealer. He gave a kidney to a little boy who was dying, and then the guy got a sickness that messed up his other kidney, and he didn't mind because he said he can die feeling proud. He said he lived his whole life for his own rotten self, but he got the chance to die for somebody else, and he was glad. You can't give up on people, girl. You hear what I'm saying? God don't give up on us, no matter what we do. So where we get off giving up on each other. But Tara, nothing he says will make it better. Do you see that? What could he say to make it okay that he left us like that? The thought that he thinks he can crawl back into our lives and be a father and a husband again just makes me sick, Darcy said. Maybe he's just passing through, girl. He wants to make amends and then go back to wherever he came from. Maybe even he's sick or dying or something, and he wants to tie up loose ends. Lots of folks try to fix stuff when they're dying, Tara said. Darcy leaned against the brick wall of the gym and closed her eyes. She felt as if confusion and grief were overtaking her. A dry, raspy sob flew from her throat. Suddenly she felt Tara's arms around her, warm, comforting, and to Tara's shoulders. Darcy cried big, violent sobs, like nothing that escaped her for years. We all got hurt, Tara said. If we ain't got them now, they'll come. Tara's hug was more comforting than Darcy ever imagined. It was as if she had left a small part of her sorrow with someone else, and now what was remaining would be easier to carry. When Darcy got home from school, she found Jamie more withdrawn than ever. Darcy took a deep breath before speaking. She knew that now, more than ever, she had to choose her words carefully. She did not want to upset her sister again. Jamie, I know that you really cared about Bobby. Darcy began. I remember how you told me that he gave you a picture and said you were his special girl, and I know that all the girls at school were probably jealous of you because you had a boyfriend from Blueford High who drove a cool car, but Bobby wasn't the right guy for you. Any guy who puts his hands on you is bad news. Jamie did not say a word. She just sat there, flipping through a magazine. It hurt Darcy to even look at her blackened eye and swollen cheek, but as bad as the bruises were on the outside, Darcy knew it was the inside that really was hurting in Jamie. Mom did not seem to notice anything was wrong, though. She was preoccupied with the news of Dad's returning that she barely saw what was happening to Jamie. I've made up my mind, Mom said at dinner. I went through a few hours when I had a strong desire to call your father. I'm past that now. What good would it do? He offered lame excuses for what he did like he always did. He'd bring up old stuff again. How it shamed him that I was made more money than him, and how that I made him feel less than a man. How I didn't support him in those get rich quick schemes, and how I wasn't the loving wife he'd hoped for. I don't need to be brought down by all that. I understand, Mom, Darcy said. Yeah, Jamie agreed. Who was that bum back in our lives anyway? Jamie's lower lip trembled as she spoke. Darcy saw something in Jamie's eyes, suddenly dulling a spark of hope. A hope, however, far-fetched and wild, had risen in her heart when her father came back. This much had been obvious to Darcy. That Daddy, who had once treasured Jamie, had reappeared. Maybe by some unknowing magic, he could make her feel special again. Jamie would never admit to such a thing in words, but Darcy knew well enough to see hope flickering in her brown eyes. In Jamie's world of ear-shattering hip-hop music, of a much-loved, now almost lost grandma, a boyfriend who hurt and betrayed her, a father who abandoned her, even a slip thread of hope flared bright against the darkness. But now it too had gone out. Jamie usually ate her dessert right after dinner, especially when it was Mom's apple pie, but she left the table tonight without touching it. I've got to study for a history quiz, she said. Mom seemed very pleased. Mom winked at Darcy as if to say, see, her interest in school is finally blooming. She's hitting her stride like she said she would. Darcy thought about it. She could not recall hearing Jamie say anything about taking history this marking period. She shrugged her shoulders, decided to ask Jamie about that later. After Mom left for work, the drum beat of this music flowed from Jamie's room again. The lyrics of the rap were being drawn out by the brain-busting beat of charging rhymes. It was just as well the lyrics were about the doom and gloom. It sounded as though the music was celebrating the end of the world. Cooper agreed to drive everybody to the title pool Saturday. This time Hakeem Randall joined them, which made Darcy both excited and nervous. She was glad she had decided to put a little lip gloss before she left the house. Darcy's mom packed 2 baskets of full fried chicken, rolls, and potato salad. The 4 ate heartily before trooping down the water's edge. Dar and Coop clambered out to the rocks for a better view, leaving Darcy and Hakeem by themselves. You play the guitar really well, Darcy said. Thanks, Hakeem said. I've seen you around school. I wanted to talk to you a couple of times, but it's hard for me to meet new people, Darcy said, watching a purple seedy urchin slip through the shallow water. Yeah, me too, Hakeem said. I'm always saying the wrong thing, or, not knowing what to say. I guess we're sort of the same then, Darcy said, looking up at him and smiling shyly. Hakeem smiled back. I know this is pretty sudden, but I'd really like to hang out with you some more. How about we go see Alda together Friday after school? What's Alda? Darcy asked, her heart thumping happily. It was a really fly local band. They play reggae and hip-hop. That keeps the audience jumping, he explained enthusiastically. Darcy's heart was absolutely galloping now. Hakeem was so close in the cramped space of the sand that she almost fell in his arms, breath on his cheeks. His eyes seemed to be filled with tiny golden lights. Or was that just Darcy's imagination? She had been so sad, so miserable, and bewildered over Jamie's problems, Grandma slipping away, Dad's strange reappearance, and now all of a sudden Darcy felt a completely go hiking, Princess? Sure, sounds like fun. I'll ask my mom and let you know tonight. Cool, Hakeem agreed. Continually, he smiled again. A wondrous smile. Darcy had never seen one quite like it before. The lights in his eyes sparkled like gold dust. And that is it for chapter 7. I hope you guys enjoyed chapter 6 and 7. There was a lot of tea and a lot of drama, but it was really good. So we're gonna get into chapter 8 later on this week, I promise. We gotta finish this book so we can get into the next series. Well, the next book. But like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let's do a countdown before you guys go to bed or before you go on with your day. And we're gonna do it in Spanish. Diez, diez, diez. Nueve, nueve, nueve. Ocho, ocho, ocho. Siete, siete, siete. Seis, seis, seis. Cinco, cinco, cinco. Cuatro, cuatro.